Law Talk Radio with Todd Marquardt is sponsored by the Marquardt Law Firm and does not attempt to solve your individual legal problems upon the basis of the information contained herein. Instead, contact an attorney to discuss the specific facts and circumstances of your unique situation. The views and opinions of this program do not reflect the views of the Salem Media Group.
It's time for Talk Law Radio with Todd Marquardt. Todd Marquardt, attorney at law in Texas. If you're a millionaire or a thousandaire, Talk Law Radio is now on the air. Call in with your business law question, your elder law question, veteran aid, Medicaid, build a business to get paid. 210-308-8867. Or ask a question online at marquardtlawfirm.com. That's MARQUARDT lawfirm.com. And now, it's Talk Law Radio with Todd Marquardt.
Welcome to Talk Law Radio. This is your host, Todd Marquardt. Listen now to discover your legal issue blind spots by listening to me talk about the law on the radio. Because I'm a licensed attorney, I must give a disclaimer required by the State Bar of Texas. The State Bar of Texas is the state agency that governs my law license. And the State Bar wants attorneys to inform the public about the law, but because legal advice must be tailored to the specific circumstances of each case, and laws are ever-changing, material discussed herein is meant for general informational purposes only, and is not meant to be construed as tax, legal, or investment advice. Although the information gathered has been gathered from reliable sources, please note that information and situations can vary. Therefore, the information should be relied upon only when coordinated with individual professional advice. Before we get started talking about the law, let's begin with prayer. Dear God, thank you for this day and for all the gifts and blessings that you give to us. Please forgive us for our sins, for our mistakes, for doing the wrong thing or failing to do your will. Please help Weston Martinez and me give good information to the listeners about telecommunication law, land development, and oil and gas industry today. Help us to use the gifts and talents you have provided for the good of your people, for our own good, and for your glory. In Jesus' name, amen. So today, we're going to be discussing telecommunications, real estate development, and oil and gas with Weston Martinez. Weston Martinez is a friend of mine. We met in Rotary over a decade ago, and he's going to explain how are we going to turn around the devastating coronavirus pandemic and economic shutdown. He and I are going to discuss how telecommunications, real estate development, and oil and gas can help reboot the Texas economy. You may have heard about Weston Martinez through his work with the Texas Real Estate Commission, his work in the oil and gas industry, and his work in real estate development and telecommunications. Mr. Martinez is a fourth-generation Texan. He has been CEO of P5, which was an operating company which identified stranded assets, oversaw securing of 300,000 acres of water rights, including site selection of a very prolific geological feature. He was appointed by Governor Rick Perry to the Texas Real Estate Commission, and as Real Estate Commissioner, Weston worked with legislative and executive branches of Texas government to oversee all licensing, regulation, and enforcement related to realtors, inspectors, appraisers, and prior to his appointment to the Real Estate Commission, he worked for 23 years in the regulated telecommunications industry at Southwestern Bell and AT&T. As the outside plant design engineering lead manager for the Southwest United States, he directly reported to the Office of the President, overseeing resolution of public utilities, Attorney General, and Better Business Bureau complaints for the United States. Weston is married to Geneva. They live in San Antonio with their 5 children and attend Friendship Church. But the most interesting thing to me about Weston is that he was a NCAA bull rider at Texas A&M University in Kingsville. Tell us about that, Weston.
Todd, thanks for having me on today. And, it's fun. And, some people say, well, what prepared you most for being involved in the political sector? And sometimes I tell them that it was my job as a busboy at a Mexican restaurant here in San Antonio, where I learned to clean tables and do a good job without any pat on the back. But then the other times I've told them that it's also includes me being a bull rider, because you just got to take it jump for jump, and you can't take anything for granted, and nothing's going to be the same. So being a bull rider was a lot of fun, and like most of us, we hung it up for a girl. So my now wife Geneva was on me to stop bull riding for a long time, and I rodeoed all through high school while playing football as well, and made an agreement and stuck to that agreement. And so now I ride bulls metaphorically in the public arena.
Yeah, politics can be tough.
Well, the difference between politics and a rodeo arena is that in a rodeo arena, you can get the stuff off you pretty easily. In politics, it kind of sticks, so you got to kind of watch out.
It smells bad, too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so after you left AT&T, you started a new company called Com LLC. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so Com LLC is we were really blessed to, when we left AT&T, they were downsizing, and I raised my hand and I said, guys, please pick me, and, because I've done more than anybody else and I can do my own thing, and really was going to focus on commercial real estate and oil and gas. But telecommunications kept slapping me in the face, so we started a company just doing some simple work in the beginning, and now we're a full voice data and wireless provider for businesses, and are able to provide services all across the United States. That's expanded now, where we're also doing design work, and we're doing some construction work, and we solve people's problems. A lot of times they don't get good information. And if you be a good business partner with your clients, then we're not focused on selling anything. We just focus on solving problems. So we've had some success providing services where people said they couldn't get services, or designing things that hadn't happened in the past, whether it's in the oil field or in the residential market or in the business market. But with everybody living at home these days, I've gotten a lot of phone calls. Hey, how can I make my internet faster at my house? Because I'm working from home. My kids are working from home. I've got Zoom calls, and it's a lot of data. And they don't realize the difference in different technologies and what they can do to actually expand it. So, we help in those arenas. Do a lot of work for developers, solving utility problems, being their liaison for the regulatory environment, dealing with the energy companies, dealing with the utility companies of the world, and helping projects get moving. Some of that even includes doing water systems for developers. So a lot of fun things that we do. And again, it's like Todd. One of the reasons I think you're a great lawyer is because you really are trying to partner with your client and help them find a solution that, if it were you yourself making the decision for your family, what would you do? And giving people that good advice is something that a lot of people are not really objective about.
Yeah, we got to ask a lot of questions.
Yeah.
We're not going to assume anything.
Right.
But let me give everyone information about how they can reach us here at the studio. If you want to ask me or Weston questions about telecommunication law, about oil and gas, and about what's going on in the real estate industry, give us a call here at the station at 210-308-8867. We're taking calls today. We haven't been taking calls because our guests were calling in from home, but Weston is a fellow podcaster, and he was brave enough to come into the studio today.
Hashtag Weston works for you.
Yeah, so that's the name of your show, right?
It's just the Weston Martinez Show. But being involved in the forefront of the conservative fights that we've had in Texas for the last 20 years, it's like being a lawyer. You wind up being your own brand, and whether we were standing up for the business rights of Christian businesses like Chick-fil-A, or, trying to fight for the rights of individuals to be able to not be discriminated against because, they didn't have, their beliefs were being trampled upon by people that know better. So, we just we enjoy what we do and like helping people and like providing solutions.
Awesome. When we come back on our next segment, we'll talk about some of the new federal laws affecting telecommunication and how that's going to drive how we use telecommunication in work and at home. So stay with us and call us if you want to at 210-308-8867 and ask Weston Martinez about telecommunication law.
Or put a question on the Facebook Live that's streaming from
Talk Law Radio.
Talk Law Radio or mine. So go ahead. We've got some questions coming already.
You've heard him on Talk Law Radio. Now work with his firm yourself. Marquardt Law Firm is the go-to firm in San Antonio for wills, trusts, and powers of attorney. Want to have a say on who will get your money and assets when you die instead of leaving it up to a judge? Then you need a proper estate plan in place, and Marquardt Law Firm can help you do just that. They can also develop a strategy for your long-term care financing and help maneuver the complicated Medicaid process for your family. Call them today to schedule your no-cost legal consultation. Call 210-530-4278. Again, that's 210-530-4278. Protect what's yours with Marquardt Law Firm. MarquardtLawFirm.com.
Welcome back to Talk Law Radio with your host, Todd Marquardt, and our guest, Weston Martinez. Wanted to ask Weston about what is telecommunication?
So telecommunications used to be, just a phone line that ran from one place to the other, but the industry as a whole has just multiplied with the creation of the internet. By the way, newsflash: Al Gore did not create the internet, so let's just get that out of the way. But the internet being created in itself, showed people that you could do more transmission over a line than just doing a phone call. First it started off with a telegraph and Morse code, and then it turned into hello party, 4 party lines, for people that grew up in that time area, and then it moved into all you 56K modem guys out there, and now technology has advanced so much that now you get gigabytes of data to your business or to your home, and just like driving a car, there's nothing stock about a stock car. And a line from Days of Thunder for those of you guys that watch movies once in a while. But your internet and your data is the same thing. So you could be driving a data pipe right now, a data vehicle that gets 5 miles to the gallon because it's a 1953 Plymouth, or you could be driving something that gets 45 miles to the gallon because it's something that's working a lot better and has new technology. So telecommunications, that's why we talk about voice, data, and wireless. They all surround the telecommunications industry, including cell towers and the technology changing there, and tons and tons of things.
So one of the most recent laws, or in this century, was the Telecom Act of 1996, which was overhauling the telecommunications law for 62 years prior to that. And so that really opened up things for phone companies, so to speak. And you were part of that because you were with Southwest Bell and then AT&T because of some deregulation, right?
Yeah, there was a lot. And people might remember that back around that time, Ed Whitaker, the CEO of Southwestern Bell, moved from St. Louis to San Antonio, and there was always some question about why he did that. But when he moved to San Antonio, one of the things that they were trying to do was to create a network around San Antonio. Well, the politicians wouldn't let him do it. At the time, there were no contribution limits to mayoral campaigns. So he went and found a guy, Howard Peak, and put $1 million in his campaign for mayor. And next thing you know, Howard Peak's the mayor. and Southwestern Bell got their fiber optic ring placed around San Antonio so they could then start splitting off what they were doing to provide services. And so when 1996 happened, the ability to sell long distance, intralata and interlata, was able to be kind of the first big step. You saw a lot of states that had to state by state approve that, and then that moved into the creation of a new technology, which was called the DSL service, and that program actually allowed you to provide communications over a copper pair of phone line going to your house with a little bit of technology behind it. It was a lot of technology then. It's a little bit of technology now. But again, being builders and creators, that's where it.
So we're not using DSL anymore.
No, we're not using DSL anymore, and several reasons. One, the aging infrastructure of the copper wire in the ground. Just go look at your garage door, and you've got some wires that come down, and you can see that is connecting everything there. And you can see how they get corroded, they get brittle, they get old, they get frail. Mm-hmm. Or the same thing happens to the lines that are in the ground because you had a copper line running from, from 4 miles to your house. Or with DSL, you changed it so that now, instead of you running off of a copper line that was 4 miles to your house, you might be running off of a copper line that is 1 mile from your house. So just like oil, or just like shooting water out of a water hose, you can squirt the water further if there's less resistance, and you get more flow because of that. And so that's what the technology did that changed it, is that it actually went in there and made that technology more useful.
And how about cable?
Well, and so now you had the invention of coax cable, so your Time Warners of the world, your Paragons of the world. I actually talked to Navarro Williams the other day, who, by the way, was head of Paragon Cable back in the day, and he is now running Sam Ministries shelter here.
Okay.
And fantastic Christian. You should have him on your program. He's a great guy.
Ask.
Yeah, call him. Tell him I said so. But the coax cable came into the world, and it was a different technology. Instead of being one solid copper pair, it had a different technology, and these cable companies sprung up. And at the time, fiber optic was too expensive, and now, just like anything, the price has come down. And so today, what I tell people is, you can have Fortune 100 communications at your place of business today without paying Fortune 100 prices, because the cost of tech has just gone so far down that you can provide better service. So you've seen the evolution of hard lines to then wireless cellular communication, and cellular communication, instead of you having to have a bag phone in your car, you can now have a flip phone in your hand. Right. And then that moved into more data, and in the oil field, I was featured on the Houston Chronicle about 4 months ago about some technology we're promoting in the oil field, and we're getting work out there. And I told them, I said, internet is the new water in the oil field, because without water you can't frack, and without internet, well, now you can't do business. And so that's some very interesting things that are happening with technology.
And even if you have something now, there might be something better tomorrow.
Right. And you have to be a hunter, not a gatherer. And you've seen some companies that are gatherers, and all they really are focused on is how do they just hold on to what they do. And I think that you've seen a lot of big companies that have folded. I mean, GTE, where are they?
Right.
Now they've morphed into what is now Verizon today. But there's communication companies that are out there buying legacy stranded assets and trying to turn them into other abilities. So it's kind of like Risk and Monopoly kind of put together, Todd. It is really what telecommunications is today.
Yeah, and you found a space there. You've been working in both oil and gas and telecommunications.
Yeah, because the math is the same.
Mm-hmm.
And quite honestly, if you understand what you're doing related to the infrastructure piece of it, that's the same as well.
So I just want to remind you that if you want to talk to Weston about any of this, call us at the station at 210-308-8867. Or if you missed last week's show, find our podcast on iTunes or on our website at www.talklawradio.com. You can also find us on YouTube. And if you want to hear more about what Weston has to say, you can find the Weston Martinez Show podcast on 9:30 a.m. The Answer. Just search for his name.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Are we going to a break?
Not quite
Okay,
yet.
I couldn't tell. I have two questions that came in that
great.
really kind of relate to both of us. And one of the questions was, what's happening in the real estate industry today? You know, Todd mentioned I was real estate commissioner and served under Governor Perry and Governor Abbott for almost 7 years. And I can tell you that, I have a real estate company, and, I don't have to be a licensed realtor to do that, but we help in some different areas. And I had realtors call me just this last week, brand new realtor. The guy sold his first house. He put it on the market here in San Antonio area. And the house, he had an offer that they accepted within 36 hours that was $10,000 over the asking price, and they're closing in 30 days. And I was with a mortgage company the other day, and they're busier than ever. So business is finding a way. Mm-hmm. And so in your, with you doing real estate work and real estate law, you're probably seeing some fair movement as well.
Yeah, some of it is what you would expect. Regular people that are struggling to pay their bills because they've been laid off or because they're sole proprietors and there's not any business being done. Some of the businesses have been forbidden from doing any business whatsoever, and so how can you make money? How can you pay your bills? But that's the downside of what's going on with the economy. I've seen a lot of upside with people adapting their businesses and serving each other through this pandemic.
Well, and that's where, when you look at what's happening, you've got the ability. Cash is king, okay? And if you've got the ability to pull some cash out, I guarantee you there's going to be some investment opportunities that, you haven't seen in decades. Oil was at, a negative trading the other day.
I was going to ask you about that.
Man, I bought some. And the reason I bought some, Todd, is because if I'm not willing to step out in faith and believe in the American oil worker, then who is? And so me sticking more money of my portfolio into oil and I'm not giving financial advice here. I just slept at a Holiday Inn Express last night. So, God bless all you legalese people out there. But this is a time where you can invest in things that, you would have thought were out of touch, previously. And land is going to be the same way. We've got individuals right now that are calling us. I'm doing a deal right now for a developer where we're doing, representing the development for all of their work. And it's a 700-acre development that's been on hold for 10 years. They're doing it now. Why are they doing it now? Because I guarantee you, when you come out of this, people are going to want to break out of being in, government-run cities that are sequestering their freedom and sequestering their rights approved to us.
And now that we figured out that we can have meetings online, group meetings that like those party phone lines.
Yeah.
We're doing that again.
Exactly.
But now we can look at each other. Now that we figured that out, you don't have to drive.
Right. And the law, think about the law. At the state level, they changed the ability to do notary by video. Who would have ever thought in their life you would have allowed notaries to be executing that by video?
Still makes me nervous.
Of course, because you're a good lawyer. Your job is to be nervous.
Yeah, I have to worry about all the stuff that might or could happen and still hope for the best.
Absolutely. That's why they have errors and omissions insurance. So,
Go. All right. Well, we are coming up on our next break. But before we go to the break, just want to remind you that you can call us here at the station. This is Talk Law Radio, and we're interviewing Weston Martinez. He's been talking about telecommunications, oil and gas, and real estate. And we'll come back and we'll pick up where we left off. There's been some big federal laws that have been passed regarding telecommunications that we can get into that have some international impact. I'm sure Weston has something to say about that. So you can give us a call at 210-308-8867 when we come back from the break. You're with Talk Law Radio. Welcome back to Talk Law Radio with your host, Todd Marquardt. I got one question for you, Weston. Why is a high-speed internet connection healthier than a regular one?
Why is a high-speed internet connection healthier than a regular one? Because you're going to be able to get more out of it. So,
because it's high in fiber. Ha!
I didn't know it was a joke.
Okay.
That's hilarious. That was funny, dude. You totally hosed me there. Hey guys, thanks for watching. So we got people from all around the state watching. We got Lori, we got Ben Westcott, Herb Savage, Jamie. You guys are having fun. Share this broadcast and tune into Talk Law Radio as well. My friend Todd Marquardt.
Share the live
That's
Facebook.
Right. Make it a watch party. We might
That's
give you
right.
some. We might
That's
give
what
you
I
some
was
free
thinking
legal
of.
advice.
No, we
Wait,
can't do that.
We can't do that.
No,
Golly,
but
these lawyers that want to follow rules. What is it with you guys? You must be a good lawyer.
I do want to talk about the G's. So there's no G, there's X, there's 4G, and now there's 5G.
Our company talks about how we're preparing you for the next G. So if you want to be prepared for the next G, you can visit my company at totalcomllc.com because the G's are true. From a technical aspect, going from one G to the next is a different platform, a different speed package transfer ratio to make it oversimplified. And going from 4G to 5G, the difference is, in layman's terms, imagine how long it takes you to snap your finger versus how long it takes you to blink your eye. So you're going to go from a 10 to 15 millisecond, right, because I broke the sound barrier, okay, to a 5 millisecond.
You don't even notice.
5 to 1 millisecond. So now with 5G, that's where you can actually start talking about doing remote surgery. Okay,
Wow.
So one of our kids gets something, and we need the only doctor that can do it is the best doctor in the world that is, in Australia. We're not going to say China anymore, and they can't fly up here. We can't fly there, but we can remote in and patch them in, and they can.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, so that's part of what's coming with this. So there's good and bad with that, and we'll have more technology and data that's going on there. I know some people are concerned about 5G, and is that part of this coronavirus? I can tell you that. While it could be, I haven't seen evidence that shows that it is. No more than a transmission wave out of a transmitter impacts somebody that has a pacemaker.
Mm-hmm.
So you kind of got to take it with a grain of salt. Could it? Okay. In a perfect storm, could it? Sure. But 5G will be a much higher data rate. You'll be able to do more things. You'll have much more transferability. The industry as a whole, we used to watch big TV screens, right? Mm-hmm. And big TV channels. Well, now you can just stream it all online, and you don't have to have 500.
Oh, we've got a call.
You don't have to have 500 channels. You can just have the ones you want on your phone.
Right.
Yeah. So, You guys call in. What's the call number again?
308-8867 or toll free 866-308-8867.
That's right. And do we have a question over there? All right. So I've got another question that came in here. What was it? Where did it go?
Well, while you're looking for that, I wanted to talk about how we talk on the phone, because that's changed. We used to have the landline, and then, of course, we had the wireless phone in the house, and then now we've got cell phones. But then there's VoIP.
Mm-hmm.
What's that?
So to explain the other part of the 5G, you remember when y'all first got your cordless cell phone and you thought, oh, man, I got a 600 megahertz cell phone, cordless phone at my house. And to go further, you needed a higher megahertz phone.
Right.
And we got 900 megahertz phones. And we're like, man, you're in high cotton because you can walk
to the backyard
65 feet instead of 45 feet. Okay, so 5G is the same thing, except instead of going from megahertz, you're going to gigahertz. And now that gigahertz bandwidth, okay, for all you people that were in Vietnam, that radio bandwidth is in the 5 gigahertz range. And now they made that into a toll road because the 4 gigahertz range and the 3 gigahertz range is clouded up with baby monitors, low-level technology that's now wireless. And so now they kind of elevated their game. And voice over IP is the same thing, because in the old days, when you had call waiting, you paid for call waiting, and that was provided by a piece of equipment inside of a central office that actually mechanically did something. Okay? Caller ID was another machine that mechanically did something. So now you got this, we're right across from San Antonio International Airport. So you've got these central offices that are, some of them are the size of buildings, like 10-story buildings. Mm-hmm. And some of them are the size of half of an airplane hangar. And all that was to house all this technology. Well, voice over IP came along and took all that technology and put it into a software package. So now the software package contains voice, caller ID, call waiting, call forwarding, music while you're on hold, transfer to your secretary, transfer to your partner. Mm-hmm. And now it's running over to your internet line that is more maintained than your old phone line. Why? Because it's a better investment for those companies.
And it works better, and now it's less expensive.
It works better. It's less expensive. We've saved people thousands of dollars just switching from a traditional business line to a voice over IP service. And, I had one old business guy. I saved him $1,500 a month. And he only had 12 business lines, literally. And the guy he literally started crying. He's like, "Are you kidding me?
That's a lot of money."
He's like, that's all you're going to charge me? And I said, "Sir, I can charge you more if you want to, if it makes you feel better. But this is, what we charge." And he was very, very thankful. So most good run businesses, the only things they can't fix are their utilities.
Right.
And we've even figured out ways to not have to assess all of the fees and taxes that most people pay, because you get your phone bill, and then you got 30% of regulatory fees and taxes put on there. Well, at Totalcom, we figured out in most cases how you can get around not even have to pay that, and it's 100% legal.
It's worth a call.
It is. But so voice over IP is kind of the new frontier. The question is, what kind of programs are providing the service? So and if you're a business or even a residence, if you're like for you, Todd, if you're a lawyer and you get a call, well, you don't want to give every one of your clients your cell phone number.
Right.
And what if you're at home? What are you going to do? You're going to pay every month to have an extra phone line just so you can call from there, so that somebody doesn't see a anonymous phone call, because we all figure out how to do anonymous phone calls. *67 for those of you that don't know. But I can put an app on your phone, so you can call from your phone, and it'll show up your office number at the office.
Yeah,
so
that's
now
great.
You don't have to carry 2 cell phones or have an extra line at the house. it's just all done together electronically, and makes people's a lot better reality for them.
So the technology that we're going to, the 5G, has led the federal government to pass the 5G Act, which is going to help roll out more 5G, right? You think that's a good idea?
So let me explain the need versus the rollout. So there's a thing called edge computing. What's that? Well, you have a server that has your program, and you click on your app on your phone, and that app connects to a program that's in St. Louis, Missouri, and then it comes all the way back to the internet, all the way back to your phone. That takes a lot of time. Well, apps, Netflix, other apps, you're on them so much. If I, as a business, if I can cut down the amount of time that I'm handing you the ball back, then I actually am saving money, and I'm providing you a better experience, because now it's
Faster.
It's a lot faster, and I can service more people, but I'm also building some redundancy in my network. So now I've got servers all over town that are handing you your Google Maps, handing you your, whatever, your HEB app. And now it's much more responsive. So you have a better experience. Whataburger, if you use the Whataburger app at the drive-thru, we've worked with people that have put, wireless infrastructure into the Whataburgers so people can have better cellular signal. And now their Whataburger app works better. So the 5G is necessary to allow technology to flow faster. I'll leave you with this last image. Originally, your cell phone connected to a tower that was 5 miles away. Now your cell phone is connected to a tower that's half a mile away. And that's how you get a better experience. Just like if you want a better legal experience, visit my friend Todd Marquardt at his law firm.
Thank you for that, Weston. And just want to remind you that our podcast can be found on iTunes. You can find past shows on YouTube or Facebook. And you can find us on our website at www.talklawradio.com. We'll be right back when we talk about legacy.
You've heard him on Talk Law Radio. Now work with his firm yourself. Marquardt Law Firm is the go-to firm in San Antonio for wills, trusts, and powers of attorney. Want to have a say on who will get your money and assets when you die instead of leaving it up to a judge? Then you need a proper estate plan in place, and Marquardt Law Firm can help you do just that. They can also develop a strategy for your long-term care financing and help maneuver the complicated Medicaid process for your family. Call them today to schedule your no-cost legal consultation. Call 210-530-4278. Again, that's 210-530-4278. Protect what's yours with Marquardt Law Firm. MarquardtLawFirm.com.
Welcome back to Talk Law Radio with your host, Todd Marquardt. I'm here with Weston Martinez, extraordinaire. He's got a podcast.
Did you say extraordinaire or extraordinaire?
Yeah, extraordinary hair. Nowadays, since we're not allowed to get a haircut, everybody's improvising.
Thankfully, mine just grows straight. But
straight up, yeah. Okay, Weston, you know that Marquardt Law Firm sponsors this show, and we focus on last wills, living trusts, and estate planning. So we like to ask our guests about legacy. What do you hope your legacy will be?
Well, first off, I can tell you that being a Christian, I'm very thankful for the life that I've been blessed with. And, nothing's perfect and nobody's perfect, but, we have to realize, what God's given us. And I know that the only living legacy that you have is your children. And so I'm thankful for our 5 children and my wife, Geneva, and, what we're raising them to be and what God's going to do with them. And so my living legacy is my children. What do I want my overall legacy to be?
How do you want to be remembered?
Again, I want to change the world for good and stand up for those widows and orphans that don't have a voice, And if you take care of, Jesus taught us, if you take care of the widows and orphans, then you take care of everybody else. So, as we do that, whether it's in business or whether it's in the public arena or whether it's in the nonprofit arena, how do we help people have a higher quality of life where, they can have hope? Because the most dangerous thing that you can give somebody is hope. And if you're a bad person, you don't want them to have hope. But if you're a good person, you want them to have hope because, this little light of mine, we want to let it shine, right? Just to borrow a little children's.
It's a great song.
It is a great song, and it should be a way of life. We shouldn't be ashamed of what God has done for us. And right now, with this virus, we need to give people hope, and the only hope we can give them that's everlasting is hope in Christ Jesus. And we want people to know how they can be successful. There's millennials out there right now, Todd, that they've had to walk their dog for the first time in 5 years. They've had to wash their own clothes, buddy.
Yeah, well, one thing that's related to the technology of 5G and video conferencing that my church has experienced at Shepherd of the Hills is the pastor noticed that we're reaching out to beyond San Antonio. We have members and parishioners that are in other cities that tune in regularly to listen to the Word. Exactly,
and how do we take that and allow that to penetrate to other places? I know of people in the Middle East that are watching into broadcasts and shows, and they're getting the Word of God in communist countries where they couldn't get it otherwise.
Yeah, those authoritarian and communist countries.
Are you talking about China again? Golly.
They try and block, different websites, and new websites pop up.
That's exactly right, and that's why we really need to talk about freedom. I'm speaking at the Alamo later on this afternoon, and one of the things that I'm going to talk to people about is, we hear Hong Kong loud and clear. Think about the people in Hong Kong that were fighting for freedom that has now been pushed under the media rug, and how they were standing there, singing the national anthem of the United States of America, begging for help. And now here we are finding ourselves oppressed by our own government, self-quarantined by information that has proven to not be accurate, and an economy that has been killed, except for people like you and I that are not motivated by fear, and we need to help those people to not be motivated by fear as well.
So what can people do with communication technology, with real estate, with oil and gas that would help the state of Texas get moving again?
Well, I can tell you, so in oil and gas, a free market is a free market. And once you start touching it, it is never going to be a free market again. And so honestly, as hard as it sounds, this may sound callous, we need to let the market be the market, because there are some people out there that they're bad actors. And quite honestly, they need to be wiped off the map. And we've got people that it's going to be a struggle, but you know what? They've been doing it right. And we don't need to set a floor in Texas. We don't need to set an arbitrary floor set by the Railroad Commission. We need to let the market bear out, because you've got so many people that, again, can you imagine, Todd, if I went to you and I said, hey, I'm going to regulate what your fees are to your clients. You no longer can set your own fees. Can you imagine if I did that?
It would be a challenge to keep the business going.
Well, and for more than one reason. The government, did they really know how to run a successful business? Heck no. So on the oil and gas industry, I do think that we need to stop buying oil and gas from overseas. I think we need to buy from our own production. We've got people around the world that they want to put a knife to our throat, and the way they do that is with oil and gas. And we need to, thankfully, Eagleford Shale and shale plays like we went through, we developed our production here in the United States, and we can keep up with our production. So I know that I heard I almost said the Trump. I know that I heard Trump say just this week that he's considering buying the $75 million, the 75 million barrels in the strategic holding tanks that we have for the United States. He's considering buying a long-term contract at the current low prices as a way of securing our future and also propping up our economy.
Yeah, I was just going to say, it seems like a super simple idea that you just stop buying from all those countries that we consider to be our enemies anyway, and start buying from the state of Texas.
Exactly. And that's where, and again, with the airline industry, I'll tell you, they're talking right now. They're talking about instead of giving the airline industry a bailout, they're talking about pre-purchasing flights for the federal government, which the federal government, by the way, Todd, is the biggest user of the airline industry in the United States. I didn't know that until recently.
That's interesting.
And so Trump is talking about, hey, I'm going to buy, tickets 4 years in advance today, and I'm going to buy them at a steep discount. All he's doing is treating it like a commodities market or like a stock market where he's buying stock cheap to use it when he wants to. And that is a business mentality of how you can help the government, help the economy without being the solution to the economy. So I think that that's some of the things we need to look at. I think we need to buy oil from Texas, buy oil from the United States, stop buying oil from other countries. I think we let our producers continue to export oil because, again, they need to buy it. And I think that we need to allow individuals the ability to buy America first, just like we need to cut off our purchasing from China. I told you earlier, we need to tell China, we're canceling all the debt. You gave us Corona, we're giving you back debt of zero.
If you have oil and gas rights in your family that have been in your family for generations, you can do things, legally speaking, with your estate planning to make sure that those oil and gas rights are there for generations to come. That's called estate planning. And speaking of estate planning, I have to give a shout out to Falcon Bank, who sponsors the show. At Falcon Bank, decisions about your future can be difficult, but Falcon Bank Trust Department can make planning for tomorrow a positive experience. From estate planning and administration of trusts to investment management, including real estate and mineral management, Falcon Bank offers solutions with an honest evaluation of what you need. Call Falcon Bank at 210-489-4150 to discuss how they may be of service to you.
And I'll tell you, just on the one thing I'll tell you also is that, with related to mineral rights, we've helped also with real estate transactions and getting proper valuations with some of the folks that are at Falcon and other groups. But right now, shale oil is the only way for minerals to get out of Texas right now and the only way to market. And they've canceled all their contracts for the next 2 months. So if you've got oil and gas leases on your property right now, those producers, they're not selling anything for the next 2 months. So you're going to see some royalty checks that you've been used to. They're not going to happen. I know one guy who accidentally sold his oil when the barrel was at negative 23 the other day because he's a good old guy. He didn't realize what was going on. Mm-hmm. So, there's things like that are happening right now in the market.
It's best to reach out to an advisor and to find out what you don't know.
Right.
You don't know that you don't know.
Right.
So you just have to call somebody and ask for advice and say, well, this is what I'd like to do.
Right.
And then someone like your attorney, your CPA, or your real estate advisor like Weston can at least point you in the right direction and start asking the right questions.
Well, and that's where, working with a good, honest lawyer like the Todd Marquardt firm, you're getting the truth whether you like it or not. And now you, as an individual, you can make a business decision and not an emotional one, So, that's why I appreciate you having me on the show today so we can let people know what their options are.
Yeah, and we appreciate having you too, and we're going to have some more guests that you recommend because we want to give our listeners that added value of knowing where to look and what questions to ask.
Absolutely. So this has been, there's so much more, there's so many things that we've talked about. It's been so much fun, Todd.
Yeah, telecommunications, real estate, oil and gas.
That's how we keep Texas, Texas. I tell you what, we need to get people to be in the economy, get outside of their house, be smart, wash your hands, don't sneeze outside, cover it up, but get back in the market.
Yeah, we've got to figure out a way how to serve each other and serve those who have been damaged, those who have been let go or laid off or furloughed, because we're going to need their services again real soon. And just like the oil and gas market, cars aren't going away, airplanes aren't going away. We're going to need that oil and gas again soon. So check out our podcast at www.talklawradio.com. You can download our past episodes there, or you can find us on iTunes podcast. You can find Weston on 9:30 a.m. The Answer, the Weston Martinez Show. Thank you for listening. See you next week.